Hello students, today's video we will be talking about how ecosystems are being destroyed by alien species and their role, that taking some examples that some of the species around the world, they have turned to be very invasive and they have destroyed habitat at first, being the first cause of habitat destruction, and as for second factor, the major factor to cause the destruction of species living over there. So here we will be talking about that alien species. So for today we have this important topic, alien species invasions. Most of the times what happens that people, they don't realize that a particular species living over there in its natural habitat, if taken away to some other habitat for some better purpose or to serve some better purpose. For example, we have here water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is a very popularly, people call it in India terror of Bengal, because it was first brought to reduce pollution in various mangrove areas of Bengal, but it turned to be not only capturing the entire aquatic habitat, but it also destroyed many aquatic plants and aquatic animals. You will find in most of the water bodies, in ponds and lakes and riverside, even catchment areas, you will find that this water hyacinth is occupying its place and trying to destroy all other plants that could have lived there. So I have written here that these are introduced mainly without thinking about but to serve their economic and other uses. They become invasive. They invade those areas, new areas where they are introduced, and they drive away local species. It won't be an exaggeration to speak that these species, just like how foreigners, they came to India, either you take Britishers once, either you take Arabians who came to our land, invaded our land. They lived here to serve some better purpose, people thought initially, but later on those people in India, they slowly captured our economy. They tried to capture our governance system which was existing then. Then slowly they tried to capture entirely our defense forces which our kings used to have, and they took an advantage to destroy our culture, our religious practices that we had, and they tried to introduce their own culture and religion in India, and they kept on doing this even today. What we find the similarity with that socio-economic transformations with this alien species invasion in India or in other parts of the world. I am talking about now not socio-economic invasions by some foreign land people in some other country, but here we are trying to understand how an alien species, when introduced into a new area or a new habitat, they try to destroy the local species. You take for example, one more example we have, lantana camera. Local people in my locality, since I belong to Hindi speaking belt, they call it putus, and this is one of the common plant that we find as a shrub. But if you go to the regions of Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh region, and even in Bihar and Jharkhand, we find that these shrubs, wherever they are growing, we don't find any other vegetation. They totally erode the soil, reducing their fertility. In Uttar Pradesh, it is said that it has reduced the population of Tectona grandis. We call it teak, in Hindi we call it sagwan. The population of this precious plant, or precious timber yielding trees, its population has reduced just because in some areas this American based shrub, which is lantana camera, being introduced, has captured those habitats where teak could be grown, and it even destroys soil fertility. We have another very common herbaceous, to some extent it is shrub category, Parthenium hysterophorus. Commonly they call it Congress grass, and it is commonly people, they call it in Hindi speaking belt gajar ghas, or since it resembles to carrot's leaf. Flowers are white in color, and these have turned to be one of the major invasive plant, eroding the land from local grasses which the cattle could have grazed. These species, basically this Parthenium, captures those areas. Eatable or edible fodder category of grasses won't grow. Such plants will get destroyed, and they will spread very fast because their flowers are having a light seed containing fibrous attached to that, so they are very light and they fly like cotton fibers. They spread rapidly. You may find beside railway tracks, beside the roads, and they destroy. There are some other disadvantages that I would like to talk to you about Parthenium. They have turned to be carcinogenic in some reports, it says, and they cause some other skin diseases like eczema, and which you know the severity of this disease. Once governments of many states was given the duty to somehow eradicate this alien species introduced from America, and it has not been successful. Such programs have not been taken into care, or has never been organized or taken as a drive to eradicate this Parthenium in an integrated manner, to disturb its life cycle or somehow to destroy them when they are growing before they flower. Next alien species, very interesting, that We need to know that in 1859 there was an Australian farmer. What he did, he introduces a dozen pair of European rabbits to his homeland, Australia. What happens? In next 6 years' time, the number goes to 22 million, and by 1930s it becomes 750 million. It is a huge number, destroying the vegetation, all types of vegetations. It is said all types of vegetations get destroyed by this European rabbits. So you can realize that how alien species can disturb the local inhabiting species of any habitat. We have another one, African catfish. It was introduced to India, and we find them in Indian rivers, and local catfish of India are being disturbed by this particular species. And this African catfish, its scientific name is Clarius garriepinus. Garriepinus or garriepinus. This is the variety species that was introduced to India. Next one of the interesting insect that we find in and around, American cockroach. The largest species of this cockroach, it is called Periplaneta americana. It is its scientific name, and it has not only been an alien species to disturb the local cockroaches, but it has been a vector to carry the pathogens of various waterborne or soil-borne diseases, being the cause for human diseases. Even plague and all, it was carried by this. So we have here discussed that how alien species they disturb. I tried to correlate that how even India was invaded by Arabs, and the Britishers, they destroyed our economy, they destroyed our culture, they tried to destroy the local religious practices by introducing their own culture and practices. Therefore, when you study biology, you need to realize how the alien species can cause damage. They can be the first cause, as I repeat now, they can be the first cause to destroy habitats of organisms. They can be the second major factor destroying the species themselves. Therefore, one should be very careful when we introduce any particular species, maybe presently of our interest or for the purpose of game, like this man, Australian farmer, who had introduced a dozen pair of European rabbits just for the sake of game. And you can realize, revising this example, that by 1930s it had become 750 million and destroying all kinds of vegetation in Australia. Therefore, every one of us, whoever is a nature enthusiasts or studying biology or even scientists, we need to realize, we need to take care of this, that how to control introduction of species from foreign land, because they may be of no use for the long run, though they may appear to be very useful for the short run and for our fun sake. Thank you for being with me and trying to understand how alien species invade the local habitats and destroy the habitat and the inhabiting local species. Thank you.